Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today for this webinar on SQE Route, what non-law graduates need to know. I'm your host, Rebecca from Law Training Centre. I'm happy to have you all here as we look further into the SQE route, particularly for those who don't come from a legal background. So today we are actually joined by two incredible guest speakers. First, we'll hear from Denisa Budikova. She's a trainee solicitor at Clover Group and an SQE learner with us, and also an associate at our Access Law Clinic. Denisa will share her journey so far on the SQE route and give you all the information you need as people studying from a non-law degree background. And then we'll be joined on by who we would like to call our training champion, Kevin Rogers. So he's a leading partner at the award-winning firm Wilson Browne Solicitors. So he's going to give us just the employer perspective and sharing just the impact on the SQE in practice, and equally how it impacts graduates when seeking roles while pursuing and upon completion of the SQE route. So for those who are joining us for the first time, just a brief overview about Law Training Centre. We specialise in delivering accredited online legal courses accessible worldwide. Our mission is to create alternative pathways into the legal profession, providing opportunities for everyone, regardless of their academic background, to achieve their goal in qualifying and practicing in law. So our courses are flexible, self-paced, and guided by experienced tutors and legal practitioners. So whether you're a law graduate, non-law graduate, a professional seeking a career change, or just a beginner needing extra support and guidance on which route to take, we offer various accredited courses and pathways tailored to meet your individual career goals. So today we'll be focusing on the SQE route for non-law graduates. So what is the SQE route? So essentially the SQE route is the Solicitor's Qualifying Examination route introduced by the Solicitors Regulation Authority in 2021, and it's to become the solicitor in England and Wales. It replaces the LPC route and focuses on assessing candidates' legal knowledge and practical skills. So it is divided into two stages: the SQE1, which assesses legal knowledge through multiple choice assessments, and then the SQE2, which tests practical legal skills and competencies through a mixture of oral and written assessments. So this route essentially offers more flexibility, affordability, and accessibility, particularly for those without a traditional law degree. So to qualify through the SQE route, you would need to hold a degree or equivalent level 6 qualification in any subject, complete the SQE1 and 2 as mentioned, and gain 2 years of qualifying work experience, then pass the SRA's character and suitability test. So one of the key benefits of the SQE is, of course, the flexibility of the qualifying work experience. So unlike the previous LPC route, a formal training contract is no longer required. So that is addressing a significant challenge of the past, where training contracts were often limited and quite difficult to secure. So now the QWE can be completed in a variety of places. So it can include paralegal work, academic placements on a law degree, voluntary work, law clinic experience, in-house work experience. It can even be completed overseas, or and it doesn't necessarily need to be English or Welsh law, providing your experience is signed off by a solicitor of England and Wales or a compliance officer of legal practice, and it is to do with legal services. It will count towards your QWE. So the SQE essentially just provides a unique opportunity for individuals from a diverse academic and professional background, and it's to help bring transferable skills into the legal profession. For instance, if you are a psychology graduate, you might excel in family law or mental health law, while a business or economics graduate could really thrive in corporate or commercial law. So essentially, studying a different subject before law will give you a fresh perspective and bring up your skills when it comes to problem solving, when approaching different challenges. The qualities can help you stand out as truly an exceptional lawyer. So today we're going to hear from a non-law graduate who's also on the SQE pathway, Denisa. So if I just go over to Denisa now, if you could just start off by sharing with our audience today just a bit about your background and what led you to pursue a career in law.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm a trainee solicitor at the Clover Group at the moment. And the question is, how did a non-law graduate, how did I enter law? Well, it was a very big transition. So basically, I have a non-law degree in Spanish and European Studies. But since I was a child, I always wanted to pursue a career in law. So I decided that I'm going to go this pathway. But I didn't know about the SQE route until later. Then announced that the SQE route is actually commencing. So I'm thinking this is a great pathway for me because I don't need a training contract. I only need work experience in law. So therefore, when I have completed my degree, I have signed on to the SQE route, which I'm doing at the moment. Of course, by doing my exams, I was looking for paralegal work or I'm looking for a legal assistant position. And then after a few years, I would say a few years, after 8 years of work of looking for a trainee position, I have obtained the trainee position this year in June. So that's when I started now. So of course, it was a very, very difficult challenge for me. But the resilience and with all the challenges I've been through, I have pursued my goal, and now I'm on my place as a trainee solicitor.
Wonderful. That's great. So, if you could just let us know what attracted you specifically to the SQE route. I know you've mentioned about the training contract aspect. Was there anything else that particularly geared you towards this pathway?
Yes, of course, because I'm sure that many students are really struggling of getting the training contract. I think that was like number one why I chose this career route. I have friends in legal background, and of course, they really didn't really obtain the training contract. So for actually having the work experience in law, I knew that this is an easy way, a pathway to get into the SQE route, and also qualifying will be much easier than getting the LPC done and getting a training contract, which we all know that is very, very difficult. So I knew that this is the pathway for me. And of course, the SQE route is very flexible. So I'm actually working full time, but also undertaking my SQE exams. I know it's very difficult, but I think with the planning or organization skills, you can actually, make it happen. So I got 8 months to qualify as a solicitor. Of course, I still have to complete my exams, but yeah, I'm so much happier because I knew that with the SQE route, it opens pathways. So let's say if you have undertook some work experience in the past, that will actually it will be actually valid for a QW, so for a QWE. So that's why I think it's the best route for many students out there who are struggling to get a training contract.
Great. So you touched on the flexibility, and I think that's quite interesting because we do actually get a lot of people who inquire with us, and they are a bit, they contemplate whether should I go for the SQE route and do an online course because there might be a little bit too much of flexibility with regards to structure or managing just the time in general. It'll be interesting just to get your own sort of view on studying online and just how it's been for you, and if there's any specific resources or aspects of the course studying online that you found particularly helpful, and just how you managed to organize your studying in general.
So I have the opportunity to say thank you to Law Training Centre for providing me with many tools because I feel that not every law school is equally the same. And from my own experience, I can really say that Law Training Centre has helped me to even get the position I have now with the Clover Group. But actually with working and doing other bits and bobs in life, I think Law Training Centre has the flexibility to offer many tools. So basically they will offer you a work experience in law clinic. So basically, I've been offered that, and that has helped me to basically obtain the job I'm doing at the moment. And when I'm struggling basically to study, then I will have a planner and stick to that planner. And also we have different tutors. We can communicate through email or through the teams and discuss if you're really struggling with the subjects. So it's really flexible, as I said, as I mentioned, it's really great.
Wonderful. I think one of the most requested topic or just the top inquiry that we get is about the QWE, the qualifying experience requirement, and just how competitive the legal field is right now to get just, basic sort of, whether it's just part-time voluntary work or just full-time employment in general. You've obviously had a journey and been successful in the end to obtain a trainee solicitor role. It would just be good if you could just give us just sort of advice and tips and guidance on how you managed to secure your QWE and if there's anything that anyone can do to give themselves that competitive edge in the market.
Yes, of course. We'll have a drop down some points that possibly not many people would discuss because many people probably discuss the kind of the same areas and same aspects. But the first one I put there is the positive mindset. I think that helped me a lot because I've struggled so much with the negative thinking, oh, I'm a failure. I'm having hundreds of interviews and I'm getting rejected. I can't do this anymore. And then there was one day, just specifically one day when I sat down and thinking, what I am doing, why I'm talking to myself so negative. I need to change this mindset. Otherwise, I am actually not going to get any training position. So I had to change my mindset. And then the second thing I did is writing down things. So basically, being grateful. I know it's a very odd thing to say, but it has like really changed my life by doing that. Basically, writing down on each day, I'm good at this. I deserve this job. I will pass my exams. Next year, I will get a trainee solicitor position or anything that you want, anything that you dream about. Write it down. It's not enough just to say it. You have to write it down. That really helped me to basically have that positive mindset. And also another aspect is networking. So that really helped me as well, especially where I'm working now at Clover Group. We have offices in Belgium and America. And of course, I kind of networked with different types of people. And I basically open my doors to people now because people know how I work. And of course, I have kind of like boosted my CV as well by networking. So networking is a really good aspect. Another thing is being calm, remaining calm. I feel like we are living in a very stressful world, and we all want it now. I want it now. I can't be patient. I need to get this job now. I need to get the QWE now. I need to pass my exam SQE now. You have to do it for yourself, and you don't need validation from other people. And I think that's an important point that you have to look at yourself. I am doing it because of myself, and I don't need a validation from other people. So I think that's like another thing that helped me this year to kind of obtain this position. It has been kind of a transition because with all the things I've been through, let's say those 7, 8 years, I had to learn little by little because, of course, I could not learn this in one pathway. There will be storms. There will be days that you'll be like, I'm giving up, but you can't give up because eventually it will happen. You have to say to yourself, you deserve this. And the word I deserve this also made a huge change in me. I feel like when people interviewed me, they actually sense it that, this person worked hard and she really deserved this position. And when you actually truly believe in yourself that I truly deserve this position, that's when it's going to come. So having this positive mindset and gratitude and believing in yourself is a plus.
Thanks, Lisa. That is such an interesting perspective. I feel like we don't really cover the mental health sort of aspect when it
Mm.
comes to seeking roles and how it can affect you. Because if you go in and you've got that negative mentality that you're going to fail, it's going to translate to the way you present yourself in interviews, and you end up,
Mm.
missing out on opportunities. And it's not because you're not a talented individual or you're not skilled in your profession. It's just that confidence that is lacking and, unfortunately overshadowing any sort of potential. So I think that is a really good point that you've mentioned there. Would you say there are any particular skills or experience outside of law that you found valuable in your journey to becoming a solicitor?
Well, there's probably many. Um, I felt that now this position I gained, like in the Clover Group, um, I was shocked that in such a um, short period of time, I could actually learn quite a lot. I mean, I did have QWE as before. I did have some work experience in law, but I surprised myself that actually I'm quite good at it, and actually I can do really well. But I feel that what happens is that we stop believing ourselves because we don't have that experience. But as you said, maybe volunteering. So I'll probably really advise people to volunteer. So it's not about only basically getting, a position in law, but in different fields, volunteering in every field you see, because it's about giving, it's about actually helping out. Any idea you have, basically go into it. That's what I would advise students, because as I said, when I start basically having this attitude about helping and we can do this and we can make an impact, that's when I started to have as well opportunities. You can create your own opportunities, but you just have to start doing it now. Don't say, oh, I'm going to start this in a week's time. No, you have to do it today. And there's no excuse for 1 week or tomorrow, because you have to believe in yourself that this can happen. And so I believe that if you start helping people, when I say helping people, I'm giving an example. The other day I went to London and I see so many homeless people around. And I'm thinking, I know I can't make a change, but I can actually help them. Maybe I can sit down next to them and communicate with them, or and get some food for them, or just get an insight of the world. Don't just focus on yourself, because we are out there. Sisters are also psychologists. We work with people. We are trying to find solutions for people. So try to find other ways how to help out. And of course you become that great person that we need. We need a strong character and a person with sense of humor as well.
That's really good, really, really good. So for those who are on the call today or will listen to this in the future and they're considering doing the SQE alongside full-time work or part-time work, um, could you tell us if you've had any challenges of balancing your studies and just give like specific advice on how they can manage that aspect? Because it is a common thing that we do tend to hear that people just don't know how to juggle the two together with the demand of meeting their billable hours, their KPIs, and then on top of that, meeting their exam criteria. So is there anything that you can, give advice to those people about and shed light on?
Yes, as I said the previous point, um, you don't need to be rushing to qualify as a solicitor. I think that what basically makes the students and people who want to qualify stressed, because no, I need to qualify this year. I need to do this now. You have to really calm yourself down, because this is for yourself as a person, and you want to do well. You want to qualify and you want to really perform well. And for you to perform well, you have to be mentally strong as well. So I think it's important to have a planner and really organize yourself as a person. I think that has helped me a lot, because I have lots of things to juggling lots of things on, and I do have to have a plan, and that really helped me. Also, what has really helped me is my exercise routine. So basically, going for a run, then when you have done with run, you can do your SQE prep for revision. But I think the most important thing is to basically have the habit to. So, for instance, if you are revising on Mondays, stick to the Mondays and revise on Mondays. Don't skip your revision, because we have to stick to the things that what we have promised to ourselves. So basically, you're obeying the things that you told yourself, and by obeying, you will be successful. But you have to keep up your routine. So keep up the things that you have told yourself that you will do.
That's great. And finally, just looking back at your journey so far, is there anything you wish you had known before starting the SQE route, or any resources or any advice that you would, recommend for non-law graduates beginning their journey?
Yeah, of course. But interestingly, I only focused on types of law that I knew that they exist. Let's say, like with my desk degree, we only know family law, Wilson probate, and so on. With commercial law, corporate law, we have so many laws out there. But at the moment, I'm specializing in international trade law, which is a really niche law, and I didn't really know about it. And I didn't know that I really like it, because I actually really enjoy working in international trade law. So I think for many students, I would advise to look through for in-house legal positions. It doesn't need to be in law firm, because I feel I really struggled over the years to actually get in position in law firm. I think number one is because I'm a normal graduate, and I'm thinking, oh, they're probably thinking, oh, she doesn't really have much knowledge about law. She doesn't have a degree in law. She doesn't have experience in law. So why would she like work for us? Possibly. That's what probably they're questioning themselves. So that's when I started to look outside the box, and I'm thinking, okay, now I need to look at the positions which are not in law firms but in house. So I think there's lots of positions in compliance in export compliance, so international trading. There's lots of great opportunities out there. I think we just need to put ourselves there. Because I think that's what I struggled with. I only concentrated on the law firms and didn't think actually there's positions out there, but I need to be looking at in-house positions.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Denisa, for sharing your journey and experience with us. It was very, very useful.
Thank you.
But now, I think we've pretty much gathered, Kevin, it is quite challenging getting the foot into the door with law firms when people are seeking roles. So it will be so good just to hear from the employer's perspective what law graduates need to know to get started in law and actually applying for roles, and how the SQE in general is affecting your recruitment and retention at Wilson Browne as well. But if you could start off, if you don't mind, just letting our audience who've just joined us just know a bit more about your background and your current role at Wilson Browne Solicitors.
Thanks, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm Kevin Rogers. I'm a solicitor partner and what we call chair of our board here at Wilson Browne. We're a large regional law firm with 6 offices across Northampton, Leicester. Born in Leeds, working class family. My dad was a proud owner of a market stall for many years. I went to the University of Derby, which was the second year only that Derby had an intake. So there was no third year when I started. And I did do a straight law degree. And we have computers, we have email, we have faxes. Years ago, we had pens and ink and quills, and it's always been hard to qualify. I remember carrier bags full of rejections, and the medium has changed. But I can tell you now that I sit this side of the desk, the approaches of everybody hasn't changed. For example, I remember I had a letter that I'd done and I thought it was beautiful. I'd used my very best handwriting. I'd stuck my tongue out and, it looked really, really good. And I photocopied this letter and I thought, because I'm not writing that out again, that was a right old effort. And it had, dear blank, I want to work at your firm because blank. And I went through and I filled this, I must have sent 40 of them. I wasted my time because they were such a lazy way to approach applications. And it was only when that stopped and, my time and effort went into each particular one that made a difference. And I think what Denisa has said is, it really resonates from my point of view. Um, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can't do it, then you're right. You won't be able to do it. But if
Mm.
you think you can, well, get on and make it happen.
Yeah.
My dad, bless him, we lost the business a couple of times, lost the house a couple of times. I lived in a caravan twice, and everybody thinks that lawyers are born with silver spoons in their mouth. It's not the case. And also, that's fine. If you are born that way, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. It's still hard to get a job. Um, so I think, yeah, that's sort of my background. It's not necessarily what people would think is the traditional route, but I think it's actually fairly common. There's all kinds of routes. There's always been diversity, and law has not been diverse enough, and it's getting better.
Mm. That's great. So what are your views on the SQE and how do you think it compares to the previous LPC route in terms of qualifying a solicitor and, breaking down the barriers and diversity and all of that?
Um, I think it's challenging because I'm not personally convinced that it meets quite all of those laudable goals
Mm.
because you've replaced one course with course fees and an exam fee with another course with course fees and an exam fee. But, and there is a but, um, the way it's structured now does allow more into the profession
Mm.
because you can, for example, work and study at your pace, whereas the part-time LPC, which was the nearest you could do, was still really, really expensive
Yeah.
and limited as to you have to do it over this many months.
Mm.
You have to do it in this time period because this is the syllabus and we're in charge and we're the college of whatever and that was it. Whereas organizations like Law Training Centre, it's so much more flexible that you can make it fit around your journey. Um, in terms of the quality of candidate that we get, there is no difference because a good lawyer will do well whatever and wherever. It causes me a headache as an employer because we still have LPC people.
Um,
Um, and so what we have done is we said, well, now instead of having one pathway on a cycle, we've got two. And if you're an SQE person that just doesn't really know what you want to do, then we can still fit you in with that cycle like the LPC.
mm.
So you'll get your qualifying work experience in, broadly speaking, 3 to 4 different areas. What's weird is that you're finding more and more candidates wanting to do a particular thing.
Yeah, I was going to get
This
on.
side, this idea of qualifying work experience has really focused people's minds as to what they want to do, which in the main is great. Sometimes you catch people out because I want to do corporate law, and you go, "You're a family lawyer. I can see it all day long." So that still changes, but that's the same with LPC people. So I think overall it's a lot more flexible.
Mm. So how are you managing that? Like for candidates who come through and they've got that tunnel vision, are you still like having them to do multiple seats, or are you allowing them to stick to one sort of discipline? How is that working out on your end?
So we'll do both.
Mm.
Um, so let's say, live news, I'm recruiting for a paralegal at the moment. I am interested in someone that can do that job. So I'm looking for experience. That terrible thing that employers always do is look for experience. And we do have roles that don't need experience. If someone comes to me and says, "Yes, I've got the experience, but I want the SQE," sorry, do they want this? Do they want commercial litigation? Probably they do. So they've already decided before they've applied.
Yeah.
And then it's our problem. Well, actually, we like them. Do we want to support them and fund them through? Um, if someone comes to us and says, "I don't know what to do," subject to the right vacancy to start them off, that's fine.
Mm.
So we have both. We have LPC and we have SQE.
I think that's such an interesting and really good thing that you guys do because most law firms they expect candidates to know this sort of area they want to qualify in and where they want to specialize in and where they see themselves in 5 years' time. But it's good that you still, give opportunity to those who naturally just not sure, they're still finding their feet into profession and want to see where they fit in. So I think that's a remarkable thing you're doing there with that. But what I was just going to ask you, what are the key qualities do you look for when recruiting or considering just non-law graduates? Because a lot of people are just like Denisa mentioned, the competitive nature of it. You've mentioned a lot of firms or just look at experiences as well. That is a key thing that is in that's going on right now. So a lot of people just want to know, what can I do to stand out if I'm not coming from the traditional legal background?
Yeah, do you know, I think that if there's a role that's advertised that wants experience, then it wants experience. That's not the role for you if you don't have experience.
Mm.
Um, if there's an entry level role, or if there's a role in another team, like we have a new inquiries team, or we've got some amazing lawyers who qualified here who started as personal assistants. Um, I think that willingness to do something that is maybe a sideways step, nothing is backwards because all experience matters. But really, it's, have you got the lights on?
Mm.
Are you someone that's been able to accept responsibility? You know, I hate this idea of a personal statement at the top of a CV. Kevin is a very blah 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 blah. What's what Kevin thinks. I'm glad that you've got a high opinion of yourself, but can't you tell me? Don't use this third person. It's weird. You know, I am someone that's always sought out responsibility, which is why I'm applying to you. And when I've not looked for responsibility, I have been given it. It has found me. I am ready. There's your two lines. Stand out that way, and spend less time on layout and fonts because no one really cares. Pretty colors are. I want that. If you've not got me in that first 3-4 inches of the first page of the CV or whatever, I'll look at it all, but you won't hook me in there and then. Responsibility things. If this was a talk to people at university, be on the whatever team, be part of the whatever club. Show me that you handled money, basic stuff like that. Did you work in a shop? Love that. You've dealt with people. You looked after cash. Um, it's that kind of thing. And if you don't have the experience, don't dress it up. I did 87 remote vacation schemes online with city firms. Really? You worked in your dad's shop every Saturday morning at 7:30. All right. You've got up, you've got responsibility. That's what I want to hear. The vac schemes are fine, but they're the add-ons. They're not the first thing that comes in first, because it's not quite the same. It was good over COVID. All the city firms will hate me, but whatever. The issue really is real world responsibility. Show me that you're humble. Corporate lawyer to family lawyer. Are you empathetic? Have you sought out responsibility? That's who I want.
That's very, very useful. So just to summarize that, you've got a CV in front of you. You're looking at it. What are the most common mistakes that you would say? I know you've mentioned the font, the bio at the start, but is there
Yeah.
anything else that you would just look at straight away and you would just throw the application or the CV in the bin?
Um, Typos.
Typos, yeah, of course.
If you cannot look after your own life faultlessly, and I mean that, you don't need to have 3 years legal experience to spot a grammatical error. How are you going to look after my clients if you can't put yourself and your document at the best it can possibly be? And you can have third person, that's fine. It's a style thing, that's fine if you really have to. We'll shake that out of you. But some firms really like that. But typos. I have seen, you know, a covering letter or covering email with 2 or 3 typos, and then there's another 3 or 4 in the CV. I'm not interested because you didn't care enough.
Mm.
And, you know, there are tools out there that can help. If you have challenges, I totally get that. We've got the Rainbow Nation here, believe me. There's all kinds of tools that you can get to help with the grammar. But at the end of the day, you're going to produce the written word for someone where a comma can make a massive difference or a full stop can. So you need to find a way around it. This is your job, your career, you've chose it. Grammarly, whatever the product is, can help. Get that help. Get someone to read it for you. I'll never know if you've had 4 people read it. It's an easy thing, but it happens every week. You know, one probably I would look past one mistake in the 3 pages, but more than that, I'm not interested, which is harsh, but
Yeah, it's reality, isn't it?
yeah, it
So
is
how
harsh. It is harsh.
no, I completely understand. So how important would you say networking is, particularly for platforms like LinkedIn or equally in-person events? Do they still hold weight today? And if so, could you elaborate further on how it could be useful for non-graduates to network?
I really like networking in all its forms. And I think that what you need to do is just pause and think, what do I do already? Because everything is a network. I was involved in the PTA at my kid's school. That was a network. Everything is a network. Any social group you've got is a network. Any peers you have is a network. Have you heard of anything going at so and so? How did so and so get on with this? That's a network. Everyone thinks networking is approaching people in suits that you've never met. Well, no, that's rubbish. Why would you do that? They'll just go, who are you? Getting introductions is a different thing. Asking for introductions is a different thing. Like at Wilson Browne, we have a training council. We have 3 either trainees or newly qualifieds, or 3 or 4 of them. And, they're happy to be approached for advice by people inside the firm and outside the firm. Your local junior lawyers division, linked to the Law Society, also the same thing. They've got reps. You can approach them and ask for help and advice. Have you got any events on? I don't know anyone. Will you say hello to me? What's wrong with asking that? That's not a sign of weakness. I don't think it's, I get, hey, Kevin on LinkedIn, and it's all right. What do you want? You know, um, I don't think it does anything to help messaging partners at firms or whatever, because the right answer is always, please see our website for vacancies. Um, that being said, if you know someone that knows someone, or someone that works somewhere, or I think that's the way forward. I think it can help. I wouldn't put all the effort into it. I think you've got to work on yourself first. You've got to have something to sell.
Yeah. What do you think about candidates who approach partners or people working within law firms to be mentors?
I
Would
don't mind that at all.
you?
I don't mind that at all. I limit myself to one call a month,
Mm.
because then people can get, 15, 30 minutes of my time, and it's hopefully quality time. I prefer it in a way when they're not local,
Mm.
because then it's genuine. They're just looking rather than like a backdoor way in for a job, because that I can't do because it'd be unfair. But no, I think that's perfectly fine. Ask the question, especially if you're not interested in working for them, really, which is a bit weird. But I think then you will get, genuine help.
How can they leverage that in the job market? Is it something that they can advertise on their CVs or on LinkedIn? Like, what can they, obviously, apart from obviously getting sort of advice and counsel from someone who's a professional, is there anything else that they can use sort of mentorship for?
I think that's a good question. Would it impress me? Uh, it would impress me more if you didn't name them.
Mm.
Over the past 6 months, I've been fortunate enough to be mentored by a partner at a legal 500 firm 200 miles away. All right. Yeah, I'm curious about that. How did that, that makes me ask questions. Therefore, I want to talk to you more.
Mm.
So that kind of thing. But I wouldn't say, oh, I've met John so and so from X firm in Scotland and this, that, and the other.
Mm.
That's just too much name dropping.
Yeah.
My
Is it more
pers That's my
so just
personal.
show that they have a genuine interest and they're taking initiative, you know?
Yeah, and I think making it clear, I was never planning to try and get a job there, but I wanted to learn from people, so I went out and found that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Just want to touch on just a bit more about the recruitment and retention aspect
Yep.
of the SQE. So, how has it affected your recruitment strategy so far in relation to, let's say, recruiting just non-law graduates from now? Have you
Um,
any non-law graduates so far?
yeah, we've we've started advertising for the SQE roles in particular teams, because the teams are, it's sort of obvious, I guess, they're interested in having someone do their area of law for longer.
Yeah.
While we have the rotations as well. Um, and I wouldn't, there'd be no, there'd be no favoritism for a law graduate over a non-law graduate at that level, which sounds awful having done a law degree, and I'm very, very proud of it. Um, the concepts that you use day to day per area, I don't really use my European law or my criminal law ever,
Mm,
you know. Um, so it's a mark of academic achievement a lot of the time.
mm,
Um, I use my taught all the time.
mm,
So you have to make sure that if you are a non-law graduate that you get the key things. But that's the point of the SQE.
mm.
So yeah, it doesn't bother me what background someone's got. The classification of a degree would bother me probably. Um,
So
you
how
know,
broad are we speaking? Sorry, just for the curious minds out there. So if somebody has done like a P Tech in music or performing arts, for
yeah.
example, would you consider that candidate? Or are we talking
Um,
about
it depends. If they just had too much sugar one night and decided this was the next thing they were going to do tomorrow, then no, probably not. But if they had, you're glad I said sugar. If they've got a grand life plan and they can show it's backed up with something, some sort of interest or, a work experience, or I was doing this and they ended up doing that. I ended up in this, it was a music business, but then I got 6 months in the legal team there and it blew my mind. I really wanted to do it. And that's why I'm here. All right, I understand that. As long as you're not bonkers, because if you're bonkers, you're probably flighty, aren't you? And I don't want flighty. I want someone that's going to stick at it. But if there's a reason, yeah, I'd take that.
That's great. So they mainly have to demonstrate it through like work experience they've done. Is there anything that they can say in their CVs? I'm assuming they will emphasize on transferable legal skills, but is there anything else, like perhaps if they make it to the interview stage, what is it that you want to hear specifically from?
Honesty. I want honesty and empathy. And you know why? Imagine I was, mm, you know, your your friend's relative.
Mm,
You know me, but it's formal. You've heard of me, and I say to you, "Oh, so why do you want to do this area of law?" What's your honest answer? That's what I want.
mm,
Because if it's not, I hate that authentic self phrase, but if it's not authentic, what's the point? Because you're not going to stick at it.
mm,
So just honesty. It's amazing how many people tell you what they think you want to hear. It's
mm,
amazing how many people use far too many commas and here and befores and hereafters in their covering letter because that's what someone's told them lawyers talk like,
mm.
and they don't. They just don't. So just be yourself. That stands out really weirdly.
No, that's great. So on to just the retention aspect. How would you say the introduction of the SQE training on your employees, how has that impacted their retention at Wilson Browne?
I can tell you we've got a 100% retention rate because we've qualified one so far through you,
It's brilliant.
and she's stayed, and we've got another two or three more going through. And it's not like it's a long job interview, but it does build a relationship, especially from our point of view, we're funding.
Mm,
Um, and it makes the difference. We see you, we'll pay for you, we'll support you, will understand with study leave, you know, don't sod off 2 minutes after qualifying down the road for 4 grand more, please. That's not nice. There is that sort of reciprocation. People don't have to stay for life, of course not. We're not that naive, but so far so good. The same with we see it the same as the LPC trainees, to be honest, in terms of that retention. We want people to stay here. We don't take on trainees for labor because they're expensive. Straightforward paralegals are more profitable in that financial year because you don't have the training burden, except it's not a burden, it's an investment. And when you see that and tell them that and they recognize that, then they have their networks and they hear the so-called horror stories elsewhere and the reality of the 85 unit day and all the rest of it. So
That's really good. So what made you specifically want to sponsor for the SQE training? I think you still have on to 2032 on the LPC pathway. Is there any specific reason why you decided, we're just going to start sponsoring SQE learners?
I think we are greedy. I want both.
Putting
If
on.
you knock on the door with an LPC, why not?
Mm.
If really, and it's don't tell my partners because I think I do a lot of work, but it's as complicated as a spreadsheet. If I've got 9 teams, which I do, that have maybe 14 or 15 trainees at any one time, does it really matter if I then have 3 SQE that don't rotate and a couple that do rotate? It's just another few lines on the spreadsheet. And it's that mindset of, oh, we've not done it this way before.
Yeah.
Well, come on. We want the best people that will stay, not the best people that will apply from 300 miles away. Because with the best will in the world, unless you've got a story, you're going to leave. Within the catchment area, we want people that want to be here, that know us, that show they know us, and that have got a link to the area. And then we'd be crazy not to, frankly.
No, fair point. Brilliant. So, what advice would you give for non-law graduates when they are prepping for just starting their journey, really? What would you say is a significant thing that they need to take into consideration starting their journey off to becoming solicitors?
Denisa has said it, which is slow down.
Mm.
It has always been this way. I genuinely got to more than 2. My filing system was carrier bags in the 1990s, and I got to more than 2 stuffed bags of rejections. And 1 in 3 would write back to you. So I wrote to a lot of people. I wrote an awful lot of really bad applications. And I interviewed somebody recently that said, I'm starting my SQE in January. Oh, okay. Yeah, good for you. Are you funding it yourself? I've not decided yet. So, well, you either are, or you're hoping that your new employer will fund it, and that's in about 7 weeks' time. So, there's probation and things, and it was January. Okay, I wish you well. Why do you care whether it's January or May? What's a few months in the right job? So I would say slow down. I would also say don't fall into the experience trap. This is the one challenge that the SQE has, is a quality training contract with the LPC stands out a mile away. So does quality experience. Now that's not in a particular setting, or not in a particular setting. And it is a little bit harder to explain because the people that you're applying to probably for the next 25 years won't have done the SQE route. So you've got to explain it, but you can do that without typos. The issue that you've got is that if you've got a load of it just scraped through the door experience, you might not get the job you want at the end. So what you need is quality experience, regardless of whether that ticks the qualifying work experience box. because the second you're qualified, you become expensive. And if you're more expensive than the next person who's got more quality, you're not going to get the role you want. So I would say, you've got to time that run. You've got to time it really carefully before you hit the SQE2. You've got to have the experience under your belt that shows that you can do the job you want, not just get past the post. And that's really, really important. And I see a lot of people hear the words and not follow it and then go, oh, but I'm doing this and I want it to be there. There's a role for everybody and all the jobs are valid and all of that. But if you've got your sights on a particular level of a firm, you need the experience that they will recognize, because it's like looking at a CV. What do you want to be? A media lawyer? Where did you do your QWE? Shipping? No. I worked in a fishmonger's. Well, okay, you're not going to get a job in the music industry. It's got to match up.
No, that's good. So with that in mind, just looking ahead, how do you see the SQE shaping the future of the legal profession, and what changes or opportunities do you think will happen for hiring aspiring solicitors and just for law firms alike who are going to be sponsoring those?
I think that we will probably see an end to the rotation as the LPC dies out, because it's too hard to manage. Firms won't want it because it's easier for them to get people doing one particular thing. But here's the thing, candidates, as I'm finding already, and it's still relatively new, candidates are looking for that one thing. So people are choosing their areas themselves. So I think that will be a natural evolution. And part of me hears the more mature lawyers around me saying, oh, well, that's not going to produce a rounded profession. Oh, I did 18 months in different things. Does it matter, really? I don't know. It might have done in the first few years of my career, but is it still relevant experience now? No. So I think it's probably, a bit of a misnomer. But as long as people chase that quality, that's the thing. I think, that's the thing I would stress is, and that can be from any setting. You just have to evidence it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Kevin and Denisa. That was both very insightful. But thank you all for joining us today. And if you do have any questions or you need any follow-up support, please feel free to contact us. I also put our contact details on the screen if there's anybody that wants to get in touch with us via phone or email. But thank you all for joining and listening to this webinar today. We hope you found it very informative, and we hope to have you on a future webinar. And special thanks to the guest speakers, Denisa Budikova and Kevin Rogers, for joining us.